All right, let's get started. First of all, like I said already, welcome to the course. This is Introduction to Information Systems. I've taught this course for quite a few years now. It used to be in person. I used to teach it primarily at Durham and then at Peterborough as well. And then, of course, COVID. So it's been an online course. It was an online course in the summer always, and it's been an online course for the last couple of years. So we might as well talk about the final exam now. If COVID does not get in our way, it will be an in-person final exam. That's how it's planned to be. That'll be at either the Durham or the Peterborough campus, or you'll have the option for a proctored online exam as well. So some of you have experienced that in the last term or previous terms. If COVID is intense and we're not allowed to have people in a gymnasium or whatever to write an exam, typically what happens is we go to an online exam, but it's not a proctored exam. So it's simply just an online exam. So in which case I make it really, really, really hard because it's open book. Only kidding. It is a harder exam, but only because it is open book. What I wanted to do primarily today was set everyone up for some success by talking over some of the questions that many students have. There are something in the neighborhood, I didn't check just before the class, but there's something in the neighborhood of 200 students in this class, give or take, maybe slightly less than that. Overall, I have 3 classes and I have almost 800 students. So one thing that I do like to emphasize is when you send me an email, put the subject that you're talking about in the email subject line, please. It makes it a lot easier for me to answer and to file that so that I can find that correspondence later if we need to talk about it again or whatever. So please do be aware, and this is for all your profs. Most of them are teaching more than one course, so let them know what course you're talking about. It just helps me because my first response, if you don't, is which course? And then we just waste time going back and forth with each other, waiting for one another to answer. So it slows it down. So please do remember that. So I'll walk through the syllabus. I'm going to share my screen and walk through the syllabus with you guys. And please ask questions whenever you want. I've got the chat window open. You can type it in chat and I'll get to it, or you can just ask a question with audio. That's fine. I will certainly pause and give people chances to ask questions if they want, or you can leave it to the end and we can deal with it then. It's entirely up to you. It's just kind of a free form approach to just trying to get some information out to you, make your life a little easier. So,
Professor, I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
How long will this meeting be?
Sorry, say that again.
How long will this meeting be?
This meeting right now?
Yes.
Up to an hour. Okay. I've set aside about 50 minutes, and then what I've got, like I said, is 3 courses. So you guys are 5 to 6. I've got a course 6 to 7 and one 7 to 8.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much.
So 5 to 6, 7. Sorry, 5 to 6, 6 to 7, and 7 to 8. So yeah, I will be recording this. I am recording this. I will be posting it. In the future, I'm going to have this on a Saturday. I'll actually be teaching in person on Monday nights starting next week. So I just can't do it at this time. I'll be doing it Saturday. I'm thinking for this course at 1 o'clock in the afternoon on Saturday. That may be a terrible time for lots of people. Whoever can attend, please attend. And again, I'll record it and post it. If you have questions that you want me to deal with specifically during it, send me an email. If you want to have a private Zoom, to the extent that I can and to the extent that it's not just going over territory that I go over with everyone, I'm happy to do that. When you send me email, screenshots are beautiful. It really helps me to understand what you're seeing, what your issue is, or whatever. If you have say a question in a quiz that you just think that I messed up and it's the wrong answer, take a screenshot of that, send it to me, and then we can have a specific discussion about it. So it just really helps communication. Picture worth 1,000 words and all that kind of stuff. So bear with me. I'm just going to share my screen here. And Zoom likes to give me 1,000 different options. So hopefully this is the one I'm looking for. You should see a syllabus for this course, and you can follow along on your own if you wish on the syllabus tab in Blackboard. I just want to work my way through it, and ask me questions as I go through each section if you have concerns. So it is an online course. We don't really have any specific meeting times. These office hours, which I'll announce for sure that time on Saturday or whatever, they are optional. I'm not taking attendance or anything like that. What I can say is, in my experience of doing this for the last couple of years, the students that at least watch the office hours, as opposed to, or even better, attend the office hours, tend to do a little bit better in the marks. I will give hints about exams. I'll answer specific questions that I'm not necessarily going to write down or put in announcements, those sorts of things. I'll be as helpful as I can. When I teach in person, I always dedicate the first part of every class. I just call it admin. So I deal with questions and administrative things. I talk about where I am with marking things, my experience with how people did on a midterm, or how they did on an assignment or whatever. So I try to involve the class more and reach out, have some contact. If you're the person that doesn't want to do that, that's fine. There's no issue, but I would really recommend at least watching them on your own time. And if someone asks me questions that I cover in an office hours, my response is always watch the office hours, because there's nothing more annoying than getting 30 email over something that I've gone over already so that I didn't get 30 email on it. So please do things like watch the office hours, read the announcements, read the syllabus. Those sorts of resources are there to help you. And I'm always happy to help out if it's not something that I've already covered. If I need to expand on something I've covered, that's fine. I'm happy to do that. Not trying to discourage you from contacting me, I'm trying to discourage you from asking me questions that I've already spent the time to answer. Okay, so the learning outcomes I'll let you deal with on your own. The text, I always get a question whether a previous version of the text is good enough. We use the 8th edition of the text. I don't support any other text. So I don't support the 7th edition or the 9th edition or anything else. The 8th edition is the text. That's not to say that if you get a great deal on the 7th edition, that might not be good enough. What I can tell you for sure is that the questions on the quizzes that you're going to be doing every week are straight out of the 8th edition of the text. So are they in the 7th? Maybe, but maybe not. I don't really know. So I always recommend that you get the electronic version of the text. And I do that because if, for instance, we get to our midterm, it's an open book midterm, it's so much faster to search by a keyword in an electronic file than it is to flip through pages or sticky notes or however you've marked up your physical text. If you prefer the physical text, fill your boots, that's fine. I'm not saying you can't use it. I'm just saying that there seem to be a lot of advantages, to me anyways, to having the electronic version of the text. Pardon me, it's going to take me, I'm doing talked a lot already today, so I just have to keep the voice lubricated a little bit here. The Pearson MyLab, which is a plugin that you can buy in addition to the text, sometimes in a package, is not required. You're more than welcome to buy it. There are practice exams or practice questions, things like that in there that you can use, but is not required. Okay, moving down to the assessments section. The first big deal is the mandatory submissions. They're not worth any marks, but if you don't do them and do them properly, you don't get to do the quizzes. So the first one is the academic integrity module. This is a problem this year so far. IT is backed up allegedly. They were very late to get contracts out to courses that are based out of Durham, which is what this course is and one of my other courses is. So we only got acknowledgement that we had contracts. I'm not a full-time professor. I'm a part-time professor. We only got our contracts very, very late in December. I submitted my request once I knew that I had the course to get all the students enrolled in the academic integrity, and they are backed up. So we're expecting anyone that didn't have to have it for another course or a previous course in the first semester. So if you don't have access to the academic integrity module, be patient. It should be with us in the next couple days. If we get to Thursday and it's not there, I'll have to make some sort of arrangements, and I'll start putting a lot of pressure on IT to get them moving along. But right now, it's not this course, it's many courses are backed up and they're trying to get it through. It's a batch process, so it happens overnight. So when you get up in the morning, you check and see if you've got access to it under courses. If you do not, it's unlikely to appear during the day. I think it's always an overnight process. I could be wrong about that, but that's been my experience. So that's one of the two parts that you have to do. So the requirement, as it shows you in assessments, is for you to give me a screenshot showing me your scores. Make sure that screenshot includes your name. I get quite a few every semester of people that go ahead and give me this nice screenshot showing their perfect scores, and I can't tell whose screenshot that is. I know who submitted it to me, but I don't understand, or I can't see who it is. So make sure your name's included in that screenshot, please. Sorry, just expanding my other screen here. So that's the first part. The second part is the course requirements quiz. And it's, I think it's around 22 to 24 questions. And it's all about this course specifically. It has to do with things like proper APA formatting, which we'll deal with as we get closer to the term paper. It's about how to contact me, how to interact in the course, all sorts of questions that I get to the end of the course in previous years, and people say, oh, I didn't know that. Well, you know, I announce these things in multiple ways. I talk about them in person or whatever. This way, it just ensures that absolutely everyone knows the baseline requirements for the course. So they've had a chance. You can do that quiz as many times as it takes to get perfect, but you need to get that perfect. So it's automatically graded as long as you get it in before the due date. I want to say the due date is this Friday. It is this Sunday is the due date for that, so that you can get that in. The academic integrity module, I have to mark individually. I have to look at the screenshot. There's no sort of artificial intelligence way to do that. So it takes me every day. I mark as many of those as are submitted. The other one's automatically marked, but anyone that goes late on that, Blackboard flags that, and I have to mark that individually as well. So if you're late, there's a good chance that you're going to miss writing at least one of the quizzes, and you start eating up marks pretty quickly by doing that. So please get it done. We don't have a lot going on this week in this course, so you should be able to get both the academic integrity module, assuming IT can get their act together, and the course requirements quiz done, so that you're ready and raring to go for week 2. Okay. The chapter quizzes I talked about briefly are multiple choice. They're worth 1.5% each. There's 10 chapters we're going to cover in this course sequentially. Nothing exciting or unusual. The second week will be chapter 1, the third week will be chapter 2, and so forth, with the exception of reading week and the midterm exam week. We'll just plod away at 1 chapter per week. So my rationale for doing chapter quizzes is to hopefully force students to read along. When I first taught this course, I would get to the midterm and look at the midterm results, and they'd be horrible. And it was very apparent that no one had bothered doing any reading. So that's really the purpose. You will see those questions again. So while I will not reveal the answers to you, you will see the questions. And if you're not confident, or if you get quiz perfect, you might want to record all those answers and questions, because they'll be part of the pool on the midterm of questions that you might see. And to a lesser extent, you might even see them on the final exam. So do pay attention on those quizzes, use them as a study opportunity, but no, I won't release the answers. I'll leave that up to you to make sure you understand what the answers should be. The midterm exam is worth 25%. It's on Tuesday, March 1st, according to my notes here. Typically, I run that at 10 in the morning. We are an online only course, so we don't have a classroom slot. We're not a synchronous course, so I don't have a reserve time. So when I say 10 o'clock on a Tuesday, there's a real good chance that a whole bunch of you are going to have classes or exams or things going on at that point. So I will sort of take the temperature in the room, and I will accommodate people around whatever else is going on in terms of their other class requirements. So not to worry about that. You won't have to make a choice between an exam in this course and an exam in another course. It's the best we can do. We don't, because we're not scheduled. If, for instance, we had a synchronous time at, I don't know, Tuesday at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, then that's when I do the exam, obviously. I will not be accommodating students in different time zones, meaning if the problem is that it's 3 in the morning for you and you don't want to write at that time, that's something that you should know going in. The exam will go off at the time that it is scheduled. If you're lucky enough to also have a class that you can tell me about that's scheduled for that time, then we can move it around. Okay. The final exam is worth 35%. The midterm covers the first 5 chapters. The final exam covers all chapters, everything that we cover, with a significant emphasis on the last half of the course, because we've already done the midterm on the first half of the course. The midterm's a couple hours. The final is 3 hours. If you, on the midterm, it'll be open book, 100%, regardless. It will be a non-proctored open book exam. If you rely on Google to answer all the multiple choice, there will be enough of them that you will run out of time and you won't get to the short answer questions. So you still want to do some preparation for it. We'll discuss in depth as we get closer to the midterm, the expectations, but that's sort of a high level look at what the midterm is about. The final exam will be scheduled at a specific time slot. Like I said earlier, it will be in person. It will be assumed to be in person or a proctored online exam. The school goes back and forth in their decision making, whether you have to live 200 kilometers away from the school in order to qualify for the proctored exam. Last term, they decided it didn't matter. Anyone who wanted to do a proctored online exam could do so. The challenges, of course, with the proctored online exam is if your internet goes out, that's kind of not our problem. That's a big problem for the student, obviously, but it's outside the control of the school. So that's just a decision for each individual student to make as to what they prefer. The written assignment is not yet released to you. I will talk about it at length before releasing it, but there will be a whole bunch of different topics to choose from. In the past, it's been as many as 12 topics, and it'll be a first come, first serve, because there'll be a cap on the number of people per topic. And the idea is just to give a wide variety of choices. And I will probably just say, I'm going to make this available sometime in the next week or whatever, and I'll start dropping 1 or 2 or 3 topics at a time to give everyone, even if they're in a different time zone, equal access or as close to equal random access to the topics. The biggest deal with the written assignment is not to put it off until the last week. I taught this class last term, and there were lots of people that had not chosen a topic with a day or 2 left. those people would have got terrible marks. It is something that to get a good mark in, you're going to want to start and work on and polish over the term. So it's not incredibly onerous, but there is a high expectation for a good quality written assignment being turned in. And again, we'll talk about that in length as we get a little closer to it. And I think it's about the same time we do chapter 8 that it's due. So it's towards the end of the course, a couple weeks from the end of the course that it's due. And you can scroll through, we can see in the syllabus when it becomes due. Grade total by withdrawal date. If you withdraw from this course or any course, any one-term course by Friday, March 11th, there is no academic penalty. I have no idea what the financial arrangements are. That's outside the scope of my concern, but you won't be penalized academically. If you try and withdraw after that and you've got a 2% out of on the course, your 2% grade will be reflected on your reports moving forward on your transcript. So by that time, I'm committed to having 32.5% of your grades in front of you. You're essentially a third done the course from a grade perspective. So you should have a pretty good idea whether you're running in the kind of level that you need as a minimum or whether you're happy with the course or whatever. So do keep that date in mind, not only for this course, but for all courses. My schedule goes through very specifically week by week, everything that's expected, everything that is due. There is an error that I've already announced in the announcement section. In week 8, you can probably see me highlighting here. I apparently thought that week started in March and ended at the end of April. So I've got Sunday, April 27th. It should be Sunday, March 27th. Each week is 1 week long. So no surprise, little typo there. So please be aware of that. Don't think that somehow there's some weird time frame in for week 8. It's just a mistake on my part. My apologies. Email accounts. This is important. When you send an email to myself or Jordan, who is our workshop leader, you need to do it from your Trent email account. The problem with not doing that is twofold. One, if you send it an email from Big Harley Rider 57@gmail.com, I have no idea who that person is. Even if you sign your name, I can't give confidential information to a Gmail account that I don't really know who owns that Gmail account. So, and I won't. I wouldn't respond with questions about marks or anything like that. The other problem is with the way the email system works, it almost always goes to junk mail, and it can be a week or two before I see that to respond to it. So you're thinking, what's this guy doing? He's not responding to my email. No, it's stuck in my junk folder, and I didn't ever see it until I periodically check my junk folder. I pride myself always in responding in 24 hours. I will always respond to an email within 24 hours. If I'm up and it's Friday night and it's 9 o'clock and you have a question and I happen to be near the computer, and I will respond to you right away. I think some people have already seen me respond within minutes to an inquiry, but what I promise is within 24 hours. So Jordan is also excellent. He's worked with me on multiple different courses, multiple different years, and he is a very, very conscientious workshop leader. He's very responsive. Some of the time he will just respond saying that's something to ask the professor. If, for instance, you want, you say you've been sick for the week and you need to extend an assignment or something like that, or you need to come to some sort of accommodation with a doctor's note, that's stuff that I deal with and not Jordan. But feel free, you can always reach out to both of us, copy both of us, and whoever responds first gets to you, or or you can reach out to one of us and we will respond very promptly. Jordan's unfailingly polite and pleasant. He's a great guy. You'll, if you haven't already worked with him in another course, you will love the guy. So he's a very, very good, conscientious workshop leader. Yeah, so yeah, just make sure you're sending your email from the Trent account with the old subject line telling me that you're talking about this subject. So standard university policies, academic integrity, it goes into, these are sort of standard boilerplate terms in there. The reason I make everyone do the academic integrity and prove it is I've had, with the number of students I have, even if there's 1% or 2% that try to cheat in some way and get caught, that ties up an awful lot of my time. I don't want to go through an academic integrity violation investigation, but I will. If someone copies and pastes someone else's work, plagiarizes or whatever, I am going to move that up to the appropriate authority. So please don't do that. Please don't put me in that position. Please don't put yourself in that position. If you have questions, even though you've done the academic integrity, if you wonder, for instance, something that a lot of students don't see is if you're on the second round on the same course, you can't just hand in the same assignments. That is actually against the academic integrity policies of the university. You can't even copy your own work. So just be aware of that. If you have any questions, if you've got sort of integrity questions, I'm happy to answer them. I think most of it's straightforward. If you use your own work and do your own, make your own efforts, unless it's a group assignment, then you're you know, in the best position possible. I think that's all that I wanted to talk about as far as the syllabus goes. Does anyone have any questions about or from the syllabus?
I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Perfect. I did find on another website here, and I'm not asking for your verification on it. I know you can't do that, but I just sent it in the chat there. It's for a cheaper version of the textbook, but it's a PDF version. Have you ever had experiences with PDF versions of the textbook?
I've not. You know, we know that they're out there. I guess, you know, I don't make any money off of the textbook. I don't think this one's particularly expensive. That's entirely up to you. I certainly can't condone it because I think whoever the authors are, they're not getting credit or monetary reimbursement for that version probably.
Okay, but the vital source version that you put in the description is suitable, right, for this course?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Okay. Absolutely. Yep. Yeah, I think the reality of the world that we live in now is that everything's available in a pirated version somewhere.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah. And don't, and I'm not talking to you specifically, but addressing the class, don't think that I'm unaware that every question that I've ever asked in this course is posted somewhere online. Sure, you can use those kind of resources, but at the end of the day, that's damaging to the academic experience that you're going through. And I typically will subtly change things from one term to the other so that I'm not asking the exact same questions. In fact, the people that I do violation investigations on most often answer the last year's question in this year, right? So it doesn't make sense. It's just probably done at 3 minutes before it's due. They copy and paste it, slap it in there, and it doesn't even answer the question. It answers the question from last year perfectly, 100%, but it doesn't answer this year. So I do try and change things up a little bit. But at the end of the day, if students want to treat this as a memorization or a copy and paste course, you're probably not going to get full value for the course from that. So, but that's everyone's individual choice. So, but yeah, you're certainly welcome to do whatever you want. Yeah, I have mixed feelings just because of intellectual property, and it's actually a subject that we talk about in this course.
I just had another question regarding the deliverables. They seem to be due on Friday. You said you were doing your Zoom live session on Saturday. However, there are office hours as well. So would the actual in-class one not be so useful, I guess, as to asking you questions, seeing all deliverables are due Friday, right? Is that correct?
Yeah, deliverables are due Friday. The idea of doing it Saturday is to cover the next week. So looking forward, every Saturday at midnight or Friday nights at midnight, and then Saturday at midnight plus 1 minute or whatever is when all the next week stuff will appear.
Okay.
I always do that. So even though officially the school week starts on the Monday, you'll have access to the materials on Saturday. So
okay, perfect. That's what I thought. I just want clarification. Thanks.
yeah, for sure. And you know, if I get an overwhelming support for Sundays as opposed to Saturdays, that's fine. I honestly really don't care. My experience is that there won't be that high in attendance live, and I'm fine with that. What is troublesome to me is when I have, like last term, I had 125 students in the course and about 15 bothered to watch it. And then I get all the same questions and I see people making mistakes that I've talked about avoiding in the office hours. So it's a matter. This is sort of the problem with COVID and not having live classes. It's a level of engagement that each individual student gets to choose. Like I said, I don't take attendance. I look at numbers to see how many people are viewing these things. And, you know, every so often I send out a warning announcement saying that, you know, I've only got a third of the class that's picked a topic and the topic is due or the essay's due in 2 weeks. So pick up your boots and let's go. But, you know, overall, it's just a matter of each student deciding how much they want to participate. And the caveat to all that is, of course, not everyone can attend on Saturday. We've got people in time zones that my office hours are going to be the middle of their night, right? So I get it, no problem. But we will look ahead for the next week, discuss what's coming up, and that way, even if you watch that on Monday morning or whatever, or Monday night before you got started on your week for this course, it would give you a heads up as to what was coming up. Is that helpful?
No, that's perfect. Thanks a lot. I really appreciate it.
No problem at all. So I'm going to stop sharing this screen. Just see some questions starting to come in. Can you explain more about APA format? So APA format, I've given some really good links in the course content general. I'm just pulling up my screen myself here. So in course content in general, there is an APA style guidelines. That's the sort of hard link to go in and see examples that will, you know, sort of make it clear to you. The academic skills group, at my request, did an APA formatting video. It's really well worth your time to watch that, not only for this course, but any course that I teach and many other courses that you're going to come through, just to talk through APA formatting. So one of the big things that students do is they either just do a reference list and they don't cite in text. So that's of zero use. If you tell me that you read these 10 articles about whatever your subject matter is, but you don't tell me where you're applying that thought process, that's of very, very little use. Or students simply don't bother to cite and reference at all. And that's equally unacceptable in formal academic writing, which is what the term paper is going to be. It's going to be a formal academic, short, but a formal academic paper. So you should review that video. And then the other thing there is proofreading strategies. They did in a previous year. I requested that, and I found that a lot of people were handing me term papers that appeared to be rough drafts. So they weren't polished. They hadn't taken the time to go through and even, do the rudimentary things like make sure grammar was right or spelling was right, or they were way too wordy or way too flowery. Those are two really, really good resources. Like I said, this is a really light week for us here in week one. Let me just, sorry, I don't even call it week one. I call it the introduction week. So we just really want the academic integrity module submission and the course expectations quiz submission in. That's all you really have to do. So take a few minutes and watch those videos. It will help you, and then come back to them again later. I'm not going to do a seminar or any sort of provide any of my personal resources to APA formatting. But if you use that link and watch the video, you should be well along your way. If you have specific questions, I'm happy to address them, but please take the time to research the format. It'll come in real handy throughout the rest of your career at Trent as well, probably. What are the deliverables? Is it mandatory? So I'm sorry, I'm picking and choosing questions here. Is it mandatory to buy the book? I don't care if you buy the book. I'm not making any money off the book. Unless you have a close friend that you can share a book with, you're not going to do all that well without the book. Like I said, the quizzes are straight out of the book. My lectures are not designed to replace the reading. They're designed to supplement the reading. So I try and make things more clear or present them in maybe a different way than they read in the book, so that you have a holistic understanding, or maybe you get an aha moment, something that doesn't make sense when you read it. But the book is ultimately, if you had to skip one or the other, you would skip listening to my lectures as opposed to reading the book. The book is primary. I would say that it's mandatory to buy the book. I can't force you to, but I would strongly, strongly, strongly recommend that you buy the book. You'll do much, much better in the course. I've had people reach out to me halfway through the course and say, Professor Reed, I'm having problems. I'm not doing well on the quizzes. And, I just can't seem to get the answers right. And I don't know what's wrong. And almost embarrassingly, I've asked, the first time this happened, I asked, do you own the textbook? And the response was no. Well, that's the problem. The answers are right there in the text. The questions are, I've personally written the questions, and I've used word for word in a lot of cases straight out of the text. So I'd buy the book. If I were you, I would invest in the book. That would be my position. What are the deliverables? When I say deliverables, I'm just talking about whatever's due, whatever's turned into me. Those are all deliverables, whether that's quizzes due on Fridays, the midterm, the final, the term paper, all those things are deliverables. Anything that are going to be marked. The academic integrity and the course requirements quiz, those are deliverables. That's just the terminology that I use. I work out in the private sector, and when we finish projects, we give something to the client, whether that's a widget or a finished assembly line. In my case, those are deliverables. So that's the product that you're producing for me, is a deliverable. I have to work on Saturday. I'd love to attend, but cannot. I get it. No problem. Yeah, there is no problem with that. If you have something that you want me to speak about at length, send me an email on Friday. I'll put it into my next talk. If you want to ask me a question after you've watched, maybe on Sunday or Monday, you've watched the recording of the office hours and you still have questions, please feel free. I like to have some people here for it because they will ask some questions, hopefully, and there's some engagement there. Otherwise, I'm just talking to empty space, and I've done that for all the lectures that I've recorded already. So there's a lot of students that find it tougher not to have the interaction of class. So that's why that's why the department wants us to have office hours and have some interaction with students. So I'm happy to do that. My 2750 class, which is another class, computer crime and forensics that I teach and have taught for quite a long time, is an online only class. And when I took it over, there were no recorded lectures. It was purely readings, quizzes, and discussions. So we're trying to get better and be more engaging with the students. But at the end of the day, what you've got are canned lectures, and this is an opportunity for you to interact with me and with each other to a certain extent. Okay. You stated earlier that there will be class lectures on Mondays. I have not stated that there are class lectures on Mondays. There are no class lectures, period. This is an online only course. There are canned lectures that will be available as of Saturday in the early hours of the morning. Yeah, that may be for some other course that you're speaking about. This is a fully asynchronous course, meaning we don't have any lecture hours. I'm sorry, but can you repeat where we have to send the screenshot of the quizzes? So if you go into your Blackboard, I'm just doing this as I speak, and you go to assessments, you're going to see the first thing in assessments is mandatory course requirements. That's the quiz. The second thing is the mandatory academic integrity module. That gives you a screenshot of what I'm looking for you to send to me. Make sure your name is on the screenshot. Some people are doing the academic integrity module on their phone and sending me that screenshot. That's fine as long as your student name is on there and shown. It's essentially a Dropbox. You're going to drop it to me from that link in assessments. When you drop the topics on the assignment in Blackboard, will we receive a notification? Yes. So I will. I do quite a lot of announcements throughout the term. I don't necessarily send them all as email. So every day or every couple days, it's probably in your best interest to log into the course and just take a look at the announcements. I would also look at the general discussions, which are questions that your fellow students have and that I may respond to if needed, and just sort of general discussions that you can engage with. But look at those announcements, because that'll keep your finger on the pulse of what's going on in the course. So I will certainly announce, like for instance, when I post this recording, I will send an announcement saying I posted it and where I've posted it. I won't send that out as an email. It'll just stay in the announcements section. The first module will be available as of next Saturday. So it'll be available on the early hours on the 15th. So, and each module will be available a week later on that schedule. It gives people a chance for a couple days before things start to go ahead and get a jump on the week if they want. Some people like to do their readings on the weekend or whatever. Everyone's got a different schedule. So although I don't want to open the whole course, I want to keep it sequential. I do like to open it a couple days early. Quizzes will open at the exact same time. Are we allowed to write the final exam in Peterborough, or do we need to go to Durham? No, Peterborough will be the first choice that you'll have. In fact, there will be an announcement made at some point, let's say 2/3 of the way through the term, saying you have to choose where you're going to write your exam. If you make no choice, the default is Peterborough. So if you think that you want to write online, but you forget to choose that, well, we'll see you in Peterborough. I typically invigilate in Durham just because it's relatively convenient for me, and my workshop leaders live in Peterborough. So I'll typically invigilate in Durham, and you'll see Jordan in Peterborough most of the time. So again, you'll be able to designate. You have 3 choices: Durham, Peterborough, or online. And if you don't respond by the due date, you're going to Peterborough. So we don't have lectures this week. No, there's no content. The content will show in the course content tab. And just looking at my version of it, this item is hidden from students for chapter 1. It will be available after January 15th at 12 a.m. So, in the early morning hours of Saturday, it will appear. That'll be your content, my lectures, any additional videos to watch, and the quizzes will then be available as well. They'll be available under assessments. That is, and I know I've said this before, the caveat to the quizzes being available is that you've done your academic integrity module and handed in the screenshot and got perfect on the course requirements quiz. I'm just scrolling through the questions here to make sure. Are the grades only going to be graded on Blackboard, or is there a third-party app? Yes, only on Blackboard. Everything's on Blackboard in this course. There is no My Lab or anything like that. I think I've covered most of the. I've covered all the questions that I've seen so far. If anyone has any more questions, either throw them into chat. You can hit me up directly if you want in chat, if you don't want the rest of the students to see who's asking the question, or you can just turn on your mic and go ahead. I've got about another 5 or 6 minutes, and then I've got to get on to the next course. If you don't have questions, feel free to get on with your evening. I will set up a schedule for Saturday. I'm flexible, so if it ends up that Saturday is not working and I've got a strong call for Sundays or whatever, then we'll do something else. All the lectures are pre-recorded and the only live sessions are on Saturday at 1. Yes, that is correct. Those are also recorded and posted. Yes, I'll post. It'll probably be sometime tomorrow before I post the office hours, just because I've got 3 hours of them to do, and it takes a while just to edit them up and post them. And I also post them through YouTube so that I can get closed captioning done as well, if that helps anyone. Quizzes are open book. Yes, they are. The midterm is also open book. How much time are we expected to spend on the course per week approximately? That's a tough question. I don't know what the school or the administration would say. There's not a ton of reading. There's probably an hour or 2 of reading. Certainly my lectures aren't more than, there's almost never an hour long. I think that if you're efficient and you're working hard at it, probably 4 or 5 hours a week would probably do, with the exception of the time that you're going to put into the term paper. To get this right, for this course, we don't have labs, lectures, or seminars, just readings and pre-recorded videos made available every week. That's correct, with the clarification that we do have live office hours, like what we're doing right now. With the final exam, quizzes, and midterm, is the exam the only one of those 3 that can be done in class? Yes, that is correct. So the only thing that is going to be written in a classroom environment is the final exam, and that's only if COVID gives us enough of a break that we can have enough students in a hall that we can do it. That's going to be a week-by-week call by the school. Right now, the plan is for us to write the final exam in person with an option to do it online. All right, guys, I'll stick around. Please feel free to sign off. I will post a recording as soon as I can get around to it in the next day or so. And, keep the questions coming. Use the discussion board for less important things. And that way, if you ask a question there, the whole class can see it, as opposed to a personal email, which is appropriate for specific questions. All right. Thanks very much, guys. Good luck on the course. It's a course where you can get an awfully good mark if you put some time into it. Thank you and have a good evening.